How do I use intuition to make better decisions at work? How do I align my work goals with my sole purpose? How can I bring mindfulness into a fast paced job without falling behind? We are going to answer all of these questions in this week's Silicon Valley to Spirituality show. Let's go. Okay, everybody. Our first question comes from Sophia in San Jose, California. And Sophia works at a fast growing tech startup and often struggles to stay mindful without feeling like she's falling behind. So her question is, how can I bring mindfulness into a fast paced tech job without falling behind? All right, so I got a couple different tips here. So, number one is let's start our meetings or coding sprints with 60 seconds of intentional breathing. So, one of the things that I like to do when I'm working with any group or any person, before we start, I always like to take just a minute or two to slow down our breathing, to get grounded, to get our frequency and vibrations into the right space so that when we start doing our work, we are effective, we are not confused, we are not just all over the place. So what I would do is just take a minute or two to do some deep breathing. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Do maybe 10 to 15 of that type of breath work and then see how you feel afterwards, okay? Number two is every 90 minutes, do some sort of micro meditation. Okay, so micro meditation, you could be focused on your breath, you could be focused on a mantra or affirmation. One of the ones I like to do is I just like to focus on the feeling between my two fingers. I rub my two fingers back and forth. I try to feel every single ridge of my fingers. And as I focus on that, it really takes my mind off of all the stressful things that I have to do and then gets me back into that mode of creation, super focused and super present. All right, so number three, this one might be tough, but you got to turn off all the notification on your phone, on your laptop. If yours is anything like mine, my phone, my laptop, they're all connected. So when I get a notification on my phone, I see it on my screen, I get really distracted. So when we are doing focus work, it is super important to take away all distractions because every single time you get distracted, you lose focus. It takes time for you to get back into the flow of the work. Okay, and then at the end of the day, I want you to end the day with a reflection ritual. The question that I like to ask myself is, what worked today and what am I going to do differently tomorrow? All right, so what worked today and what I'm going to do differently tomorrow. This way, I am a big proponent of not like transforming and changing everything overnight. I like to make 1% improvements every single day. When I make a 1% improvement every single day, over the course of 100 days or over the course of a year, there are massive improvements. Okay, so every day I like to end my day by asking myself, what works today and what am I going to do differently tomorrow? And Sophia, if you practice these 4 tips, this will really help you bring more mindfulness into a fast-paced test job so that you can be present, that you could enjoy your experience while working there without feeling just overwhelmed with all the different things that have to happen in one of these really high stress, high action oriented tech jobs. Okay. All right. So number 2, the next question we have is Raj from Bangalore, India. He is a product manager working on scaling his startup. He's curious about soul purpose while building big goals. So what are some simple ways to align my work goals with my soul purpose? Wow, this is a great question. So the first thing is I would ask myself, who am I serving with this goal, to root it in my contribution and to see if it is part of my soul purpose. All right, who am I serving with this goal? So for me, I created a cannabis company. We created a bunch of hardware that would allow people to enjoy their cannabinoids with less of a physical impact on their body. So I knew that I was serving people that consume cannabis that didn't want to harm their lungs or to reduce the impact that smoking had on their physical health. Okay. Number 2 is I want you to visualize your higher self already living this success. Okay. So how do you feel? What does your life look like when your soul's purpose is actually actualized? All right. Being able to project out into the future and to see the different ways that you are living, the different ways that people are benefiting from what you are doing is a great way to see if you are in alignment with what you are trying to create and what your soul actually wants. Okay. And then number 3 is regularly calibrate. Okay. Regularly calibrate. And what I mean by that is as you evolve, your goals should evolve, right? I ran my company for 8 years I was not the same person at the beginning that I was at the end. So as you are working on these long-term projects, it's really important to reorientate and just get a better understanding of like, are your goals, is who you are today still in alignment with your mission and purpose that you set up when you first started running your company? Okay. And then the fourth tip is to not just celebrate your revenue goals, but look at what type of impact that your company is creating. All right. If you have products or services, look how these products and services are impacting yourself, the community, and the world at large. And this is really important to celebrate the impact and not just the revenue, because when you have the most amount of revenue in your company, that doesn't necessarily mean you're creating the most positive impact. So really celebrate the times when you are creating a positive impact in the world, not just your revenue. Okay. And that is the way that you can really align your work goals with your soul purpose. All right. Let me know if that is helpful. Drop a comment in the comment section below if that is something that you think will help you stay aligned with your work and then your soul's purpose. All right. Okay, so let's look for another question here. All right, I love this one. So, Isabella from Rome is launching a wellness brand and she's asking about using intuition in business decisions. So, more specifically, her question is, how can I use my intuition to make better decisions? All right, so number one is I want you to start cultivating a meditation practice. All right, the meditation practices really help you tune your internal compass or your inner GPS, right? We all have a GPS that leads us to wherever we want to go. But we used to have like this internal GPS and compass within ourselves that could lead and guide us. So when we meditate, utilize this time as a time to go deep within yourself. When you go deep within yourself, you could access more creativity, more inspiration, and more intuition. Okay. So also, when you are trying to make a decision for work, number two is very important, which is using the wisdom of your body. Okay. You could ask yourself a question. Should I hire this marketing consultant? And if your body feels expansive, that's a yes. If your body feels some form of contraction, then that would be a no. So the body is very wise. Okay. Some people just think of it as a knee jerk reaction. You're being emotional, but this is very far from the truth. Our body has so much wisdom. So when you feel repulsed by someone, chances are that person is someone you don't want to do business with. When you feel good about someone, chances are that is someone you want to do business with. So just remember that there are times when you might feel repulsed by someone and then they're actually good for you. And the inverse is true. You might feel good about someone and they're not good for you. So what happens in this situation? Well, it's because we're really detached from the way that our body feels. Many people who work really hard will pass up their time to rest in order to work more. Instead of eating, we'll work more. Instead of taking a vacation, we'll work more. So when you do this, you don't have a good relationship with your body anymore. So it's really important to rebuild that connection and that relationship with your body. Okay. All right. So number three is when you're stuck, just go ahead and sleep on a decision. All right. Making a knee-jerk reaction decision when you're under a high-pressure situation never gives you a good result. So when you sleep on something, this gives you time to just let it marinate. And many times you might even have a dream about it. And when you have a dream about something, it will reveal some hidden answers that you may not be aware of in your conscious mind, because when you're dreaming, you access your subconscious. Okay. And then the last one, number four, is don't just use intuition. Combine logic and intuition for powerful whole brain decisions. Okay. So this is really important because we have a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere of our brain. And if we were supposed to be 100% logical or 100% intuitive, we wouldn't have two different hemispheres of our brain. So just remember that we have these different hemispheres so that we can access both sides of our brain. All right. Okay, so those are our three questions from today. I hope you found some value in me answering all these questions. If you did, hit the subscribe button Maybe even share this with a friend. Comment below. I'm doing everything I can to grow this channel so that we could have more people that are able to bring in their spiritual knowledge and apply them to their day to day lives. So instead of waiting for the 4D or the 5D, we could start living today, enjoying our lives, and having a great time at it. All right, everyone, have a great one until our next episode.